Okay, so video journal entry on the Super Bowl because I was going to write. I was like going to write a piece over this. Something inspired me for a moment. Then I realized how uninspired I am generally. I guess I don't know, but I had so I decided instead to do a video journal because that takes a lot less effort. And that's the path of least resistance is one of the most fundamental sorts of concepts in physics, is it not? Is that something that does not apply to everyone? Okay, so enough of that. So here we go. Super Bowl. Fantastic game. I was hoping the Bengals would win. I mean, for more reasons than one. The Bengals deserve the Super Bowl more than the Rams. The Rams won the Super Bowl back in 2000, 2001, something like that, under the auspices of St. Louis. Nonetheless, it was the same team. And, does Hollywood and Los Angeles in general and California in general, do they really deserve a Super Bowl? Do they really deserve a Super Bowl right now? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I know, like, California people get really salty when you point out how much the place they live in sucks and how it's making everybody else's life in the country suck. They get really salty about that. But I'm in Florida, so we're just going to insulate ourselves from you, and we're going to have a libertarian paradise here. Everything's going to be legal, and you guys can do your commie shit over there. And over here, we're going to have brothels, and we're going to have open air drug markets, and perhaps even legalized gambling. So no, LA is a cancer on our society. It really is. So I don't think they deserve the Super Bowl. In other words, I don't wish anything bad on them personally, but I don't think they should have won the Super Bowl. The Bengals have never won a Super Bowl. They played so hard. And when that last play happened, like 23 seconds left or whatever it was, and I could see all the pain and all the hurt on the faces of the Bengals players, through their helmets, I could see their eyes, and I could see that I can read eyes. I guess I can read emotions off of eyes. But before the game even started, I knew one thing. I knew a couple things, actually. I knew two different things. I knew that the commercials would suck. And as far as I saw throughout the game, when I wasn't distracted, doing something else, as far as I saw, the commercials did suck. I did not see one commercial that really stuck out to me. And another thing I knew walking into this game was that the halftime show would only remind me of how much our culture, as a Western American culture that used to be so innovative artistically, how it is no longer innovative. And the halftime show was fantastic. Perhaps the best halftime show I've ever seen in my life. Literally the best. I mean, it started with Snoop Dogg. and it made you want to dance. It was like in your television, in your room, in your living room. It made you want to dance. We were having fun. And then comes Mary J. Blige. And goddamn was she fantastic. She looked good. I'm sure she had a lot of makeup on, but she looked good. Her body looked good. She looked sumptuous. And her voice, I mean, she did this little, not like, I'm sure, not like it was when she was in her 20s, but she busted out some nice she blew out some nice notes during that performance. Perhaps one of the best halftime performances I've ever seen. And Mary J. Blige, I mean, if you remember her famous performance after 9/11, it was pretty good. And I think this was close to beating it. It was amazing. But what it reminded me of is how pathetic modern music is, because Mary J. Blige, Snoop Dogg, and Dr. Dre, they're not modern music. And I'm a musician, an amateur musician. Okay, I have keyboards here. I don't know if you can see. There's a keyboard here. There's a keyboard. There's a B3 clone over there. And I'm a musician, an amateur musician. I know all the chords. And I appreciate music. And, I did a little research, and I found that, in previous Super Bowls going back to the 1980s, they always had old school people on there because those were the safest people to put on a headliner show back. Like in the 80s, 1987, they had Chubby Checkers as the headliner, I think it was. Let me see if I could find that. So they always played it safe during the Super Bowl. But what I'm saying is now, I think on Wikipedia they showed this. So, Super Bowl, Chubby Checkers Super Bowl. He was in, Super Bowl 22. Okay, Super Bowl 22. And then we can go to find on page. And we could put Chubby. So here we go. Vocalist Chubby Checkers. So the halftime show. So in the Super Bowl 22, the halftime show had Chubby Checker. So back in the 80s, they also played very old music. So I had to, before I went on this rant, I wanted to fact check myself and look at this and say, okay, back in the 80s, they didn't play, really new music. I looked at a list of it. And back in the 80s, they used to bring out a lot of college marching bands and shit like that. You never see that anymore. But what really struck me is that back in the 90s, or in the 80s, let's say back in the 80s, if you're watching Super Bowl 22, 1987, I think it was. Is it 1987? Let's look at this. 1988. So it was the 1987 season. So, I remember this Super Bowl. So, Chubby Checker would have been old news by then, obviously. But at the time, in 1987, if you would have asked any teenager and a senior in high school or anybody in college, they would have said, oh, this is way better. And there would have been a much bigger band on the top 10 music charts And people would have said there's much better music out there than Chubby Checker in 1987. But my question to you is, how many people now could say that there is better music out there now than Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Mary J. Blige? How many people could tell me in the face that there is better hip hop or R&B than what existed back then in 1995? And that's why our culture, this is a sign that our culture is dying. Our culture is in decline. Why is that? Music sucks so bad that they had to dig up, which not really dig up, that's a bad way to put it. Snoop Dogg is out there and he's a legend, he's the man. And Mary J. Blige, obviously she's still on it. But what I'm saying is they had to get these people out here to do it, but there's nobody now. Listen, there's nobody now in music, in entertainment, that you would rather have done that Super Bowl. And back in 1987, if you asked most Americans, would you rather have Chubby Checker as the headliner or one of, somebody else, Billy Joel or whoever? And they would have said whoever. So it's a sign that our culture, is dying. Okay, so I think that's my whole spiel, and have a good night. I'm out.